And now, the Sleephawk Worldwide Podcast. Here are your hosts, Brandon Staten and Tyler Hansbrough.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Sleephawk Worldwide Podcast. This is Sleep Dog with the Big Hulk.
What's up, everybody? It's the Big Hulk. Man, it's been an ugly weekend. A lot of rain. Can't figure out if it wants to be hot or cold out. But, hey, I'm excited about the podcast. Got a lot of topics we're going to cover, and I'm looking forward to it, Sleep.
Got a little sunshine in there today. Kind of, in the 70s here in 1 minute in Raleigh. We drove to Chapel Hill to brunch it out with John Claude Van Dan today. And by the time we got from Raleigh to Chapel Hill, it was about 15 degrees colder. So I'm probably going to wind up with pneumonia. But, yeah, weird weather, but I'll take it. Not freezing ass cold, but it's supposed to get cold again. Lot to get into. So we're going to recap Florida State game. A lot of Carolina basketball. We're going to preview the Georgia Tech game. We're going to talk about the call, the Duke game, and then that's what we're here for. We're going to preview. This will be the last pod before the Duke Carolina game at Smith Center Saturday, 6:30. Tickets are expensive, but still got my eye out. Any big boosters out there want to invite Sleep Dog? I'll be happy to go with you. I might get in a little bit of NBA stuff. A lot of NBA games are some super high scoring going on there. And then as we're recording this here Sunday night, Chiefs are winners. 49ers are on the ropes 24-7, just starting the second half. But we'll start with the Florida State recap. I think interested to hear your thoughts, Big Hawk, but I felt like it was just another good, solid win on the road, man. Tar Heels are 9-10-0 for the first time since like 2001. I mean, we just got done saying, I did at least, that they're missing that one that puts them in that other category. And, while they still, again, didn't have their best game, the two games since, I've started to wonder myself, like, how stupid do I look? Because they're starting to play themselves in that category, I think.
Yeah, so we're on a 10-game win streak. We're 9-0 in conference play. And we are leading the conference. Obviously, we're number one. Duke is number two at 6-2. So we have a little good, have a pretty good lead. But we'll start off with the Florida State game. First of all, this was a huge win. Anytime you go on the road in conference and get a win, that is big time. And especially since, we smacked Florida State at home. And this team has totally changed Florida State since they have played us in the Smith Center. They're playing good, hard, physical defense, just like traditional Florida State's teams do. Leonard Hamilton has his team rolling. They've had some big wins. And also I think they're tied for third in the conference with Virginia. So this was a huge win. And also, we had won our last 7 games in conference play by double digits. And so this was a single-digit win when the game got tight, and it was on the road. So that is super important. When we got pressured and we needed to make plays, we did. And so that is something that I take away. We were tested, and we came through. But we'll talk about individual performances. The player of the game for me is Elliot Cadeau. And Elliot Cadeau had 16 points, and he continues to be a guy. He was the reason why Florida State really had issues putting pressure on the ball because he is so quick. He just went around everybody, and he finds a way to get everyone involved. So this was a season high for 16 points. But what I really liked about his game, Sleep, is he went 8 for 9 from the free throw line. And he's really been struggling with free throws, and he has a good touch, and he can shoot it. It's just, I think, something mentally where he's seen himself miss a few that it's got in his head. All he needs to do is just see that ball go in, keep shooting, don't change a thing, and it's going to turn around. So that's what I really liked about this game. Florida State, they put up a good effort. They had some guys had kind of, went off in the first half. We went into halftime down, I think, a few. Then we came back out in the second half, and we followed through and performed. And, this team is exceeding expectations, and they continue to get better and better as the season goes on. But it's not the time to get happy with where you're at. There's still a lot of growing to do. And I've said all along, this team is going to get better and better as the season goes on. We have a lot of new guys. One of our most important pieces on this team is Elliot Cadeau. and he's a freshman, and he's continuing to grow. And also another important piece is Seth Trimble off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
I think you've got to have him in consideration for six-man in conference or in all of college basketball. And I know his stats aren't crazy, but the impact that he has on the game, you cannot minimize that. He comes in, he plays winning basketball, he plays his part, he locks up the toughest offensive player on the other team every single night, and he does his part, and he's just really evolving. And also, I think he's one of those guys that could get his confidence offensively and really provide us with a boost there. So I'm really excited about this. I really like where this team is headed, and we've got some big games. So, Sleep, what do you think about Florida State?
Yeah, I thought we another game where feel like we could have played better. Only shot 41%.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Cadeau did a great job of like sort of the only basketball experience I can provide is from like playing in high school and being really bad at it. But like, when you're not shooting the ball well, try to get to the line,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, he's 4 for 12 and, instead of settling for, bad shots, he kept trying to, he kept driving to the basket and, was really relentless in that. And, that created a lot of opportunities. Like you said, he got to the line 9 times. I think if you ask us, hey, if Baycott has 5 points and 4 rebounds, you're going to win the game. And you probably say no. Right. So it kind of goes
Mm-hmm.
back to a little bit of the narrative we've been talking about too, where, if this team just puts it all together, like I feel like when we do, we score over 100, it seems like we're flirt with it. Right. And I feel like there's still, plenty of times out there where we're like, yeah, I mean, sure. These are the games we talked about over and over again. I don't know how many pods in a row now. These are the games you got to win. And these are like, like we talk about the fact that, hey, national champion probably is going to lose 4 or 5 games this year. And so what does that mean? That means that any team can really lose on any given night. I mean, today we I watched the Purdue play Rutgers. Granted, at Rutgers, that game was down to the wire. I mean, late that was close, right? So, and I just think that as a team, this team seems to have check all the boxes of just getting it done. Now, this game, this is actually a kind of funny side story because my dad's been listening to the pod. Dad, this is a public service announcement, okay? We got early out to a good lead, I think. I'm trying to look at the little stat chart here. I think we jumped out to like a 10 or 11 point lead early. So yeah, we were up like 18-8, 19-8. And, we hit a couple buckets early. My dad sends me a text message. I mean, by the way, guys, so it's 19-8 with 13:29 to go in the first quarter. And my dad sends a text message that basically says, looks like we're going to win by 40. I'm like, I'm sitting there watching the game with Mary, and I'm like, oh God, like I love my dad, but I was stressed out the whole time then, because I'm like, he just jinxed it, right? And then of course we go from 18-9. I'm looking at the thing, and like next thing you know, I mean, this game is like to the wire. We're losing at halftime, and even late. I mean, we pulled back ahead, and then it got really close again within 2 points with a couple minutes to play. And so the whole time I'm just like super stressed out. I'm like, there's just no way we win this game now. But we did. And so, Dad, man, in the future, please just, wait until we're winning by 40 and just say we're going to win by 50. But yeah, anyway, I felt like we, kind of what I'm getting as the last game, we was also somewhat close. A lot of games have been kind of like that pace back and forth. You just never really felt like the game was in jeopardy. Well, this one I definitely was the first one in a while. I was like, I don't know, but we pull it out. And at the end, like when you're done, they're closing games, man, like the pressure situations. And that's what's going to matter when you get into the tournament. And so, cause everybody, all these games are going to be close when you get there. So I really like what you see. You mentioned it statistically. Is Trimble going to jump off the page at you? No. Did Baycott have a bad game? Sure. But that didn't seem to transpire in the game as you were watching it. Cadeau missed a lot of shots, but he impacted the game. Harrison Ingram, to me, just continues to be, I mean, dude, one of the most underrated players in college basketball. So I just
couldn't
think
agree more. Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, and the one thing you will say about Harrison is I think he's like 6th in the conference at rebounding. And, you mentioned it last pod, Sleep. You talked about how good of a rebounder he is. I think he had like 17 rebounds.
17 boards.
Yeah, that one game you were talking about. And, man, his addition, you just can't minimize that. It's almost like we have another Brady Manick, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
He does things for this team, and he's so versatile of a player. Man, he's just had a huge impact for this team, and he's been more than what we ever thought he would be. So, he is one of by far the most underrated player in the country.
People think I'm crazy. I think he's an NBA player. I mean, he's 6'7", 235. Athletic, wing, rebounder, like just has a nose for the ball. He's just always in the right place at the right time. He's super smart. He doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. Probably not the most efficient shooter, but that's the type of thing that, you just get in the gym and work on over and over and over and over. You can get better at that. I don't know, man. I just think that as crazy as that seems, maybe like where did this guy, but he's got, 4 years now of college basketball at a high level. And he really seems to be having like a coming out season.
Oh yeah.
So, I think we're rolling in the right direction. Got Georgia Tech coming up next on the road, another road game. The good news, I think, with this just gauntlet is I feel like, the league has sort of leveled out a little bit, right? We'll get into the Clemson loss, but they're out of the top 25 now, I believe. And, so now it's a matter of, can you stay sharp? Can you not? This is your proverbial trap game, I guess. There's Georgia Tech. This isn't – just told my dad – said something about my dad doing this. We were talking about this in the Campbell, the football season. So I don't want to belittle it because that's why you play them, right? But they're not having a good season. I'll just put it that way. And the easiest part of our schedule is ahead of us. So, we got this one coming up at Georgia Tech. This is one of those, I think, I'm curious to get your opinion. I'm sure everyone else is on. Everybody now knows this is the biggest Duke Carolina tilt in a while, right? Both ranked. There's a lot on the line here. Duke, for all their transgressions, have some individual players that are very good and playing very well. How do you stay focused on Georgia Tech and let us stay focused on Georgia Tech also and understanding what we need to do to take care of those guys?
Well, you've got to keep in mind that Georgia Tech, they beat Duke at home early on in the year.
That is true.
And you can never overlook anybody. And the reason, Sleep, you did say it's a trap game, and I've been saying, heck, I thought Florida State was a trap game. We've been playing really well. Florida State's kind of rolling, and Tallahassee can be a tough environment. But the reason what I think makes this game so difficult is, yes, Georgia Tech is 2-7 in the conference, okay? And we have the Duke game next weekend. And just like you mentioned, it's easy to overlook Georgia Tech. You cannot do that. You must stay focused on Georgia Tech and get the job done in Atlanta. This game's going to be huge because if you lose to Georgia Tech and the way that they do these seedings and the way that these metrics, for the tournament, it could really throw your metrics off. And the reason why the ACC overall doesn't receive a lot of attention this year is because, Louisville and Notre Dame, those teams are in the conference and they are bad. And anytime, have a team like, Louisville and Notre Dame in your conference, it brings the whole conference down. And I can't even stress how big winning on the road in conference is. And even if you go play Louisville and Notre Dame, it is still a challenge. And if you lose a game to one of those two teams, your metrics are just Dunsky. And that's why this game is so important. But, as a team, we shouldn't think about that. We should think about going in there and continuing to play high quality basketball and taking the show on the road. We've struggled in the past couple of years on the road, but this year we've been great. We've been proving people wrong all year. This isn't the time to get complacent and get happy with what we've been doing. We need to stay on a mission and continue to grow.
Yeah, and to your point, I just pull up the net rankings. We won our 10th in a row, and we drop a score in the net ranking. It's maddening, right? You look at the eye test, and if we're not top two, or if we're not there, so it's, what is it, Purdue and UConn.
Right? Those two teams to me are by far the best two teams in college basketball right now. As far as their strength of schedule, who they've beaten, and how well they've been playing,
right?
Those two teams have separated themselves.
Yep. And I think, and that's what we were talking about last pod, which is that I feel like even just since the last pod, we've played our way closer to that. The Duke game will really tell us a lot about that. But, in this idiocy, it seems like, of these net scores, Purdue's 2. So, and Houston is 1 and Tennessee is 3. Like, these are good teams. Arizona is 4. These are great teams. UConn is 8. We're 7. It's like UConn beat us. So it's like, at the end of the day, are they going to sit down at this, whatever they're doing? And UConn's only lost 2 games. I get they so they haven't played some other teams. But my point being, to your point, is that there's other things to think about. So if you want to look past Georgia Tech, do so at your own risk. And yeah, they really have to. Does it matter in the net score how bad you beat somebody?
It does. They take that into the equation. That's why some teams have just been all gas, no brakes. And, I'm not a fan of that. I think that, sleep. I'm not a big fan of that one. Yeah.
And look, we said it time and again, man, you got to play the one in front of you. This team has been very resilient, I think is a great way to put it. And I think part of what freaked me out about my dad is, like, if you've been a fan of any team for any amount of time, when it's going good, like, think about, look, the Lions game's on right now. All these Lions fans all over the world are probably like, they were up. I just looked at it. I think they were up like 2-3 touchdowns, right? In the second half. They look great. Everything's rolling. I bet every Lions fan in the world is terrified right now, right? Because it's like, man, all right, when is this dream going to end? So, on one hand, expecting Carolina to run the table you can't expect anybody to run the table. And so you're kind of always sort of second guessing that as a fan. But sure as hell wouldn't want to lay an egg right before what at this point probably chalks up as our biggest game of the season so far. So, but been through a lot and get a lot of experience pulling out close wins, pulling them out on the road. So getting this one behind us will be good. And then that sets us up Saturday, 6:30 prime time. Duke, Carolina, both ranked for a while. Before we jump into our game, let's just talk about what I'll just say. I'm not going to speak for both of us, Big Hawk. It was just an atrocity of officiating against Clemson and Duke. There were some calls in that. Now, I didn't watch much of the game, but like everybody else, you go and it's easy to go in and just watch the play and as much as they should call every call by the book and all that. The flow of the game in reality matters. I don't know, man. I just feel like, and Clemson's coach, I can't believe I can't think of his name right off the top of my head. Dude, he just went in on the refs. And I love that because at the end of the day, you say this a lot. And I think it really carries a lot of weight. It's like, how come they don't ever have any accountability, right? Come out and say, you know what, we blew it. Because I think they did. And, of course, we're going to look bitter because we're Carolina guys. But, I mean, one last thing I'll say about it and why it matters is, like, we just talked about Carolina's tournament team, period. We could, unless we lose every game from here on out. But, like, Clemson, that game has a huge amount of meaning for them because they don't get many other opportunities given the state of the conference to claw their way up, right? So I mean, that game has a huge impact for them. And so in a way, I think that was taken from them.
Yeah, and I watched the replay over and over, and I just felt like, first of all, it was Proctor, and I really felt like Proctor was a little bit out of control when he did that spin. And, I do feel like he went into the defender. Now, the defender has every right to put his hands up and jump straight up. Now, whether Proctor's momentum carried him into the defender, that is not a foul. And I've watched it over and over, and that is not a foul. And if you call a foul that late in the game to decide the game, basically, and, everyone can tell me that no one call decides the whole game. It can. It just did. And you could look at a lot of mistakes that the players made, the coaches made, blah, blah, blah. The refs make mistakes too, and that was not a foul. You cannot make that call late in the game to decide a game. If you call a foul with seconds left on the clock or in that situation, it better be a clear foul.
Yeah.
You cannot have you cannot lead this up to, I thought you better see a foul and clearly see a foul. I did not see that. From every different angle that I saw, it looked like Proctor went into him, and I thought when he spun, it was desperation to throw it up.
Agreed.
I did not like the call. And, Clemson has every right to be upset, and they can handle it the way they want to handle it. They can handle it classy. But if they want to speak freely about that and say, nukes. Yeah, if they want to say we don't feel like it's a foul, then they should have every right to say that without repercussions.
And I think they should be able to do that in the NBA too. And I get that. But and by the way, guys, sorry. I don't know if you see what's going on over my shoulder, but one of the most craziest plays in the history of NFL football just happened. Okay, so now they're not calling it a touchdown, but it's funny because we were just talking about how Lions fans are probably on the edge of their seat. San Francisco just throws a bomb down the middle. It hits Detroit's defender who interfered with, they threw a flag on it, hit him right in the chest. It bounces off his chest to Brandon Ayuk, who's already falling down because of pass interference. He catches it and then goes into the end zone. And it looked like a touchdown, but it wasn't. Now it's 2nd and goal. And I bet Dan Campbell is he might start crying over there.
Yeah, I don't want to see him.
Anyway, sorry about that. It was I'm watching over my shoulder.
I feel you. I will just say, I didn't agree with the call, and I thought it was bad officiating late in the game. But it's unfortunate because that would have been big for Clemson. I'm not sure when the last time they won in Cameron was, but I can tell you it doesn't happen that often. But that one's
totally
tough.
Agree. Totally agree. And I agree with, just being able to just let it out, man. If you don't think it was a good call, you should be able to say so, man. Yep. And, look, and it's, I guess in college, nothing's going to happen, which is kind of nice. It's not like NCAA is not going to fine him $50,000 like it happens in the NBA. But I think it's hilarious that in the NBA, because dude, I stayed up last night. We're not going to get into this in the pod. Ayuk touchdown. Now the Lions fans are really freaking out. But the double overtime Lakers Warriors game, it was one of the best games I've seen in a long time, especially regular season games. And a lot of officiating questions there. And as a game, you want to know as a fan, hey guys, how do you really feel? Am I just making shit up that I saw the officials make this call and I think they're they can't say anything. And so I just feel like, hey, look, and it makes for a good story even if the guys are going to blame the refs and it wasn't the refs' fault, right? So whatever. I just happen to agree completely that if you watch the replay on that and a couple other calls in that game, very clearly, did not go in the favor of Clemson and cost them dearly. In a weird way, though, it makes it better because that maintains Duke's status for the time being. Again, got to take care of Georgia Tech first. First things first. That's why you play them, right? But let's hop into our preview because we are not going to be recording again before that game. This is the biggest Duke-Carolina matchup in at least 3 or 4 years. And, we're third. Duke, presumably top 15, unless they cough one up beforehand too. And this is just going to be a big matchup and be a great game. We were saying earlier how we really don't feel like everything has quite come together, but this sure would be a great time to have that happen.
Yeah, they're playing better. I still don't think they're near their peak, and I will be honest, I thought Duke would have a better year, and I still think that Duke is a scary team. I think they have a lot of good players. They have a lot of young guys. Hold on. Sorry. they have a lot of young guys as well, and they have athletic guys. And as far as I'm talking about Mark Mitchell, who's he's a 6'9" forward that can do a lot of things. He's super athletic. He can get out and he rebounds. He makes winning plays. And he's one of those guys that can guard multiple positions. But also Filipowski, one of the better players in the country, also one of the most dynamic bigs in the country. He can hit you from all different angles. But also you gotta mention, like, Jeremy Roach is a player who doesn't get a lot of credit. And I think he kind of flies under the radar, but he's one of those players that can get hot. And he's had big scoring nights. He just doesn't get a lot of attention because some of the other players on the team, get a lot of, hype and press. And he's one of those guys that can fly under the radar. But also Tyrese Proctor, he's one of those guys that everyone seems to hype up. He's had some big games. I'm not as big on Proctor as a lot of people, but he is good, and he's a great ball handler, and he can find his teammates to get open. Now, the reason I say, like, if you look at our roster and you look at what makes our team vulnerable, now I don't know if a lot of Carolina fans know this, but we don't have the biggest roster. We've struggled with rebounding at times. And if you look at the lineup when we go Cadeau, Trimble, RJ, and Ingram, that's not a big lineup. Now, where we may have issues and teams that may give us issues are when they have big athletic guards. UConn, they're big, physical, play hard. Those teams will give us issues. And why do I think this game's going to be a good test? Because I think Duke has those athletic guys that could really challenge us, and they can be physical. But like we've withstood every test that we've had this year, and I think this will be a great challenge. I do think that Duke received a lot more preseason hype than we did, and everyone kind of looked at them. Duke's just going to be a top 5 team because of how they finished last year and the momentum that they had coming into this year. And I still don't think Filipowski's played. He's had a good year, but I don't think he's had the year that a lot of people thought he would have. I thought a lot of people thought he might take a little bigger of a jump, but he's had a really good year, and he's probably going to be a lottery pick next year. But Duke's, this is going to be an exciting game. Sleep. It's going to be a great challenge.
Meltdown continues. Detroit just fumbles. San Francisco's got the ball damn near in the red zone. I agree with you, man. Duke's lost 4 games and they haven't lost any of them badly, right? They lost 2 at home. I think they lost to Arizona at home. They are, they're still a great team and they still have players. And look, if we're sitting here saying you can lose to anybody on any given night, you can damn sure lose to Duke, right? And that's unfortunate, but reality, right? But, I think to your point, I feel like I'm interested to see the role because of that Jalen Washington gets, right, and maybe a few more minutes, and can he, contribute in a big way in some impactful minutes, and even guys like Jalen Withers, right, who's a super athletic wing, just mixing it up in an Ingram, right? Ingram is such a Ingram has 17 rebounds against Florida State. Like, these guys are paramount. We talk about it a lot. Like, hey, if a guy's not having a good day, like Armando Bacot has 4 or 5 rebounds against Florida State, but Ingram has 17. Like, all right, that works, right? Because usually Mondo's going to get 12 and Ingram's going to get 5, like, just how it goes. But those rebounding guys are the guys that can't have a bad game, in my opinion. You got to assume, in my opinion as well, that Duke is going to target Armando, try to get him in foul trouble early, right? They're going to run a lot of set plays trying to get the ball down low and get, some physical, just engagement, and try to draw a couple early ones on him, because then you got to sit him down, and now, you're in a whole different. So it'll be interesting, not just to see, who shows up and who has a good game, who has a bad game, but strategically, how do we handle it? I think if we shoot the ball well, I think we'll play with anybody, to your point. But, so RJ, that's the other thing. RJ, it just seems like hasn't even had a bad game yet. So, like, if he wants to pick one, go ahead and pick Tuesday night. or just don't have one. I mean, it's fine. I'm good with either one. So yeah, I mean, it's a big game, big night. And I think it means a lot for the program, for the fan base and all that sort of stuff. I mean, it goes without saying it's Duke, Carolina, right? But this is, I think if you're a realistic Carolina fan, there was last year was made everybody question a lot of things. You get this whole change coming of, reality starts to set in about how things are different now. Right. And then yet here we are, we pop right back up and jump right back to the top. So this is one of those games that I think as a Carolina fan, like even a little more than normal, this one matters to us. So I'll be interested to see how it goes. And all I know is Sleep Dog's been looking at tickets, man. And last year I was able to get some really decent tickets for really decent price. And this year I'm like, dude, might just be watching this one on TV because they are high. So everybody else realizes big game too. But
it's a bright light, Smith Center.
I know, dude. It's a place to be. Before we get out of here, I would ask for your prediction, but we already know what we're going to predict. We got a few more minutes here, and NBA, right? I know not everybody's favorite subject, or at least I hope it. I would just say that. I
enjoy the NBA.
I love it. Lately, dude, I mean, you got Embiid getting 70. You got Karl Anthony Towns dropping like 60 plus. You got Luka the other night dropped 73. You got Devin Booker the other night dropped 60 plus. Somebody like last night had 40, 50. I can't even remember who it was. What? So the knock, I think, with most people that are casual NBA fans has always been they don't play any defense, and especially in the regular season. Where's this coming from, man? Do you think that? I mean, I personally think it's just the stars are aligning. I just think it's just a weird anomaly. Like, and then also it's like on the like all of this stuff is gathered around the anniversary of Kobe scoring 81, which is weird too. But dude, I mean, look, it's one thing if guy scores 50, that's news. Guy scores 60, maybe like once a season, but you've had 4 or 5 dudes have 60 plus. Luka 73, that's like 5th most points all time. Yeah. Where's this coming from?
Sleep. Let me tell you something. I was on a team when I played for the Hornets. I think it was DeMarcus Cousins had like 55 or something like that. And let me tell you something. I think Al Jefferson may have fouled out. Marvin Williams got into foul trouble. Spencer Hall's got into foul trouble. I got in foul trouble. If somebody's going to give me 60, you better be sure that I'm going to be fouling at some point.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to earn that. And the foul is underrated. And I may take some heat for this one, but a good hard foul, that's part of basketball as well. If somebody's going to go off, you need to break the rhythm somehow. I'm not talking about being dirty, being cheap. I'm talking about being physical and playing with physicality and making people earn their points. You know, if somebody drops 70 on me, first of all, as an NBA player and professionally, like you got to have like some type of pride and integrity. I mean, you're not just walk out there and get mollywopped and let some dude drop 80 on you. And let me tell you something, Sleep, don't underestimate these NBA players. Some of these guys, once they get in a groove and once they start getting their confidence up, good luck. Booker's one of those guys. He's one of those shooters that if he gets hot, I don't know. I mean, there's not a bad shot. He can make it over 3 people. Played against Melo many a times when he's gotten hot. Good luck. But once these guys get in this rhythm and they start scoring, they're hard to be stopped.
It was P.J. Washington. P.J. Washington had 43 against the Jazz. You're right, dude. It's crazy because, like, I think people forget. I think people really do forget how good NBA players are. All of them. I mean, you're in a very, very short list of players. And, I mean, I don't want to get tie game. Niners, Lions. So all you Heels fans thinking we got Georgia Tech in the bag. I'm telling you, man, this is like exactly what I was saying 10 minutes ago. These Lions fans are on just They're not in a good place. Right? They're in a dark spot. But, I was watching a Warriors-Lakers game last night, and guys are just like, it's amazing to me how LeBron James, dude, this is double overtime, all right? I'm 1 year, almost exactly 1 year older than LeBron James, okay? It takes everything in my being to stay awake for this game, okay? I do nothing. This dude plays like 50 minutes, 36 points, 20 rebounds, 12 assists. They hit him up after the game, and he looks like he could just run it back for another 2 OTs. I'm like, and then sideline reporter said, "Are you tired?" And he goes, "I mean, not really." And you look at him, and that wasn't a LeBronism. That wasn't BS. That was like, this dude was like, yeah, I mean, if it gone to 3, I just play 3, 4, 5. I don't care. I mean, it is astounding. I mean, and that's LeBron. Everybody knows LeBron's good. Steph Curry goes for 46. I mean, dude, it was an awesome game. Jonathan Kuminga, by the way, there's a lot of people wrong about him. And you know who's not wrong about him? Sleep Dog. Because he is one of the top 50 players in the league over the last month. I'm telling you, this dude is blowing up, by the way. If you're not watching him, you will be soon enough, because everybody knows now. Cat's out of the bag. Dude's averaging, last 6 games, dude's averaging like almost 30 on almost 70% from the field. Windmill jam last night. Did you see that?
Mm-mm.
Breakaway against the Lakers on ABC. Dude just windmilled it.
I missed
it. Great. I was freaking out. Anyway, man, like, I just feel like, I mean, these guys are good. And the NBA, Cam Thomas, another guy a lot of people don't know of. Now, Cam Thomas ain't ever seen it. He gets off the bus and he's ready to shoot it. He takes some really bad shots too, but dude's fearless. And I'm looking at some of these guys like, dude, I'm a pretty big NBA fan, and I see names that are on the leading scores. I don't even know who they are for a certain game. But anyway, I mean, I think it's not a last thing I want to say on that, and we'll move on, is I don't think it's an indictment on the defense. I just think it's sort of the way that the game is played now. There's just volume shooters. There's so many more shots being taken. Like, even something as simple as like the 2-for-1 at the end of a quarter, right? Where the guy just if you got the ball and there's 35 seconds on the clock, dude's going to go down and just going to chuck one, because they know they're going to get the ball back for the last shot. It's like, it's a possessions game. So, and then you've got dudes that are legitimately assassins from the aspect of jump shots. Any one of these guys can get hot at any point in time. It just blows my mind. Except unless you play for the Pistons and Wizards, then you're probably not going to get hot. Oh boy, let's see what else we got here. There was one other little. Oh, I don't know, man. All right, so I know you think the 49ers are going to pull this out. Okay, so last thing we'll get into here before we can do a Super Bowl preview next episode. So we don't have to get deep into this. Chiefs win. That means that Taylor Swift is about to take over the universe. And I don't know if you've seen the pictures yet, but Swift and Kelsey are midfield, like those pictures from when World War II was over, like making out in the 50-yard line. And so, I mean, we're in for a hell of a media day, a Super Bowl, whatever this is. Who you got? No, you sticking with the?
I'm going with the Niners, man.
Yeah.
I'm not pulling for the Chiefs. I'm from Missouri, and
that's right.
I'm just everyone else is pulling for them. They've had the momentum.
Well,
and it's not like I'm a big Niners fan either. I don't know the whole.
I'm the same way.
You know what? I'm not on board. I don't like the Kelsey Swift thing. I don't know. I mean, I'm over it. I'm over it.
I'm not upset at her for any other reason. I'm like, dude, of all the dudes in the world, you go for Travis Kelsey. Like, I mean, what about Tom Brady or something, man? He's on the market.
I tell you what. No, I'm not going to tell you. I think Brady's doing all right.
I'm sure he's doing
I like
fine.
his selection. I think I like his style. Like, I would say he's got a pretty good. Yeah, I mean, he's had a pretty good track record, and the guy. I think he likes who he's. Yeah. He's been with. I'm not sure he's
maybe
regretting.
Turned her down. Maybe she tried.
You never know.
I mean, you don't know. You definitely don't know Travis Kelsey, though. I don't know. I got nothing against Travis Kelsey either.
No.
I think you're fine. Shout out Jimmy's. Tough day for them. I mean, Baltimore didn't look good at all, but I know they were having a good time despite it all. So Get some crab cakes from them, man, and make them feel better. I'm trying to think anything else we got going on, but I don't think I can come up with anything. We're about to redo our YouTube channel, guys. You better get in there and subscribe before it's too late. And you feel like you're early. You're in on it early. The next thing you know, you're too late, man. We're already just blown up, and you just had your chance and didn't take it. So go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel and all that other stuff too. You got anything else, Big Hawk?
Stay safe.
Stay safe.